The internet is full of some interesting theories and so-called secrets. While some are lighter, like Rachel McAdams is allergic to horses, others are more Nick Cage is a vampire. Welcome to Beyond the Screen, I'm Nate, and these are the top 10 dark Hollywood secrets you won't believe. Number 10. There are substances on set. Actors using substances on set is nothing new. A lot of people are pretty sure that Seth Rogen smokes his herbs and spices on set constantly, something he's admitted to doing before, but not as often as the internet makes it out to be. However, in the earlier days of Hollywood, substances were not only done on set, they were encouraged by the studios, who would regularly feed their actors their narcotic of choice on set. In fact, John Belushi from the Blues Brothers was such an avid consumer of no-no snow that the price of powder was built into the budget for the 1980 flick. No wonder he's in sunglasses all day. If he took them off, he'd look like he just got pepper sprayed. Or something. I don't know what happens when you do that stuff. I'm a good boy, I promise. Facts are that this still takes place to this day. Now, I have signed a few NDAs in my time as a locations PA, so I cannot specify who does what and where, but the amount of celebrities that surprisingly love that no-no snow is astonishing. No wonder so many people deliver great performances. It's because they amp themselves up in a bathroom for 5 minutes before every scene. Number 9. Jim Carrey's origins. A Canadian legend, Jim Carrey is considered one of the greatest modern comedians of all time. He famously released 3 films in the year 1995, Dumb and Dumber, The Mask, and Ace Ventura, all of which made millions at the box office and still hold up to this day, except for a couple scenes in Ace Ventura, but we won't get into that. As many know, comedians tend to have a pretty rough backstory, as the best comedy comes from a place of pain. Over the years, Jim has come clean about his strange but fun upbringing. His family struggled financially, and he grew up watching his mother struggle with depression, which he claims to have been passed down to him. Despite his energy, he was a bit of a recluse growing up, and apparently he spent hours in his room making faces in the mirror instead of hanging out with his friends. After dropping out of high school to work a full-time job, Jim and his family were actually forced to live in a Volkswagen van together, becoming homeless for a short period of time. He went on to attempt a career in comedy, at first to minimal success, but of course he was able to find his footing and made his place in comedy history. Number 8. There are ties to the Mafia. The film industry may be a multi-billion-dollar business, but where did they get that first bit of cash from to get where they are today? Well, apparently Hollywood has a dark history that's tied to organized crime families. The Trocadero, or the Troc, was a famous spot on the Sunset Strip back in the day, with many celebrities coming through the doors, along with studio heads and notorious mob leaders like Mickey Cohen, who was a regular at the establishment. He was a man who rubbed elbows with many of Hollywood's A-list. In fact, the film Texas Chainsaw Massacre, released in the 1970s, was released by Bryanston Pictures, a company heavily linked to several crime families. While the production studio ended up going bankrupt, Hollywood is still filled with many people doing secret deals. I bet all of the money in my savings account that they had something to do with this Barbenheimer nonsense. Now that's not a lot of money, but the mob runs the memes, confirmed. Number 7. Woody Harrelson's father. Woody is best known in Hollywood as the wildest wild child ever to exist. He eats raw meat, he's an eco-crusader, he's a protester against violence, and an advocate for the legalization of herbs and spices in the United States. He's loved on screen, but did you know that his father took people out for money? And I'm not talking about on dates. That's a different job. Charles Harrelson was sentenced to 2 lifetime sentences for the slaying of a federal judge in San Antonio. And prior to that charge, Charles had previously been acquitted for the slaying of Alan Berg, who was a carpet salesman. And he was convicted of the slaying of Sam DeGalia. He's not the greatest hitman of all time. His track record will prove that. The evidence shows that Charles is not the greatest hitman of all time. Woody doesn't speak much of his father these days, opting instead to leave his family's trouble in the past. He does, however, say that the one piece of advice that his father ever gave him that he still uses to this day is always keep an open mind. Charles knew all about opening minds with bullets. Number 6, they have backups of A-listers. There have been many rumors over the years that Hollywood likes to clone their best and brightest on the off chance that they'll need them again following their ultimate demise. According to the internet, Paul Rudd actually got to star alongside his clone in the show Living with Yourself. Now, Paul has of course claimed that the performance was achieved with CGI and filming one character one day and another the next, but Paul Rudd is also 54 years old and looks like that, so something is not right about this. Now, there is a theory out there aware that the celebrity elites are made up of lizard people who take the form of actors and singers to influence us. And Paul is thought to be one of those lizard people. Now, I don't believe this theory, I'm just sharing something cool that I found on the internet. But it would be awesome if there were two Paul Rudds. In fact, that would be the most chill way to find out that cloned people exist. Just Paul being like, "Hi, I'm Paul," and "Hi, I'm also Paul. Everything's gonna be fine." Number 5, Mark Wahlberg should be in jail. Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch hit the rap scene in 1991, and despite sounding like the title of a cheesy kids show, the crew had a small following and garnered a bit of success. Enough for leading man Mark Wahlberg to be spotted and picked up by Hollywood to star in The Corruptor, a 1999 action flick that sees Mark play the leading man Danny Wallace, a police officer who attempts to stop substance trafficking and corruption by the Chinese triads. He's had a successful acting career that has recently been declining in quality, but he's still acting and he looks jacked at the age of 52, so please don't hurt me, Mark. Infinite was just hard to watch. Growing up in Boston, he was the youngest of 9 children and was relentlessly bullied by his fellow siblings. His parents divorced when he was very young, and he became addicted to no-no snow by the time he was in his mid-teens. He dropped out of high school and was eventually arrested when he was just 18 for attempting to slay 2 Vietnamese men. Apparently, he was walking home late one night under the influence of a hallucinogenic narcotic when he spotted the men. Close friends at the time have confirmed that Mark had a racial biased upbringing, which caused him to be instantly aggressive towards anyone who just wasn't white. He attempted to swing a large log at them, which did make contact and knocked one of the men unconscious. He was eventually released after serving only 45 days of his 2-year prison sentence, and he vowed to change his life. Now, so far, he's kept that promise, and I can personally confirm that he's very polite and patient, because he actually watched a movie at the theater I used to work at. He does travel with a crew of 5 people at all times surrounding him. It's a bit intimidating, just a little. Number 4, Margot Robbie may be crazy. Margot may be a perfect Barbie on screen, but apparently behind the scenes, she might be a psychopath. In a recent interview with BBC Radio 1, Margot reminisced about a little prank that she pulled on an old babysitter that involved kitchen cutters, which is the word I'm forced to use for the thing that you cut tomatoes with. Apparently, Margot had just gotten a new babysitter, a much older woman that just apparently wasn't as cool as Talia. So she hatched a plan of sweet, sweet revenge. After a particularly trying day where Margot refused to take a bath, she decided to kick the old lady out for good. She grabbed ketchup, her stabby jabby things, and laid face down on the kitchen tiles. You know, the old "I've been stabbed" routine. As you may expect, her babysitter walked in, took one look, screamed, and just ran out the door. Traumatized, the woman quit and Margot successfully got her old babysitter back. But that is messed up. That is so messed. And Margot was like young when she did this. Like, it's a very dark place for someone's mind to go so early on in their life. Has she secretly been a little bit crazy this whole time? It might explain why she was so good as Harley Quinn. Number 3, Tim Allen's Hobbies. Tim Allen is the voice of Buzz Lightyear and the star of ABC's popular sitcom Home Improvement, which premiered in 1991. While he may have played a family man on TV, many fans may not know that Tim was a smuggler of no-no snow in the early 1970s. According to Tim, he got mixed up with some bad people back in the day while he was selling certain substances on the street for a few bucks. In 1978, Tim was arrested in Kalamazoo Battle Creek International Airport, what a name, and was caught with more than 650 grams, 1.4 pounds of no-no snow. Unfortunately for Tim, state legislators had just passed a law that tied a life sentence to any conviction of selling 650 grams or more. Like, as he was being arrested, there was a guy in a car with him like, "And if you have 650 grams, you're a goner." However, that sentence was never served, as it was revealed that Tim was set up by an undercover police officer who had been following him for months. Due to this and Tim's cooperation in providing the names of fellow dealers to the authorities, it led to him receiving a lighter conviction that allowed him to be sentenced in a federal court instead of a state, so being able to ignore that new policy entirely. His information led to 20 arrests and the sentencing of a major dealer. Can that be a movie, please? Number 2. CGI'd before they pass. Unfortunately, computers are not only making everyone's lives easier when it comes to looking cool on screen, but they're also being used in some of the creepiest ways ever. So, the first example of someone being CGI'd into a movie following their passing was Carrie Fisher, and I do mean first to have a speaking line and be a significant character. Rise of Skywalker did not heavily feature her, but the fact that they had that ready to go so fast after she passed, it was super unnerving. They pulled this with Stan Lee too in one of his last on-screen cameos, and Marvel was going to do this with Chadwick Boseman in the sequel to Black Panther, but the studio changed their minds last minute, and thank the good Lord. But not only is Hollywood prepared to CGI their people into movies, they seem to have inside knowledge of when it's gonna happen. With the new addition of AI into the world of film, we're close to Hollywood not even needing actors anymore and just asking the computer to make Tom Cruise do stunts. Deepfake technology is also getting better and better, making it extremely difficult to tell if a video is authentic or just some CGI shenanigans. Nope, still just me. Number 1, they're all broke. That's right, despite it being one of the most lucrative industries in the world, most of Hollywood's actors, writers, directors aren't as well off as we may think. Unless you've been living under a rock for the past month, most of Hollywood is closed right now as its staff are on strike. Some of the toppest of tier actors have joined their crew in solidarity, not stopping until Hollywood's producers and big budget studios start sharing the money that they make. Actor Sean Gunn gave an interview this last week where he mentions working on a show currently streaming on Deflix, a show that has made over $4 million in residuals, of which he's received basically nothing. This type of financial woe extends to a ton of people in Hollywood, and I just wanted to take this moment to wish luck to anyone out there on the picket lines. Hollywood, pay your people, and everyone holding a sign or waiting for the strike to end, get what you're worth and get back to making the world a better place. And those are some of the dark secrets living in the world of Hollywood today. What other dark theories or stories do you know? Let us know in the comments below. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you. It means a lot to us here at the channel, and I hope you had fun. Click that like button to show your support. Thanks for stopping beyond the screen today, and we'll see you next time.